G'day, my name's Chris. Welcome back to the shed. Welcome back to Flat Tank Friday. It's been a while. Had a lot going on and a few people have asked where I've been and what's been going on. I'll show you in a minute. I bought a metal shaper. Mainly because I could. It's not because I needed one, but I like old machines. And I got sidetracked into restoring that and getting that going. I think the main reason for the distraction was I was sick of looking at my special. I did the bars and lapped in the throttles and started running cables and then started to hit some hurdles. And it gets really hard and it slows down. So I got back into that this weekend and I've been having a look at it. And I'll show you all that in a minute. Some of it's gone well and some of it hasn't gone well, and I'm up to stage 3 of fitting foot pegs. And anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. On the bench in front of me is a clutch that I'm also trying to fit, and that's been the main delay. I've been looking for a heavyweight clutch off a 3-speed BSA box from about the mid-20s, and there's not a lot of them around. A lot of lightweights, not a lot of heavyweights, so I've adapted something to fit, which is going okay. Anyway, let's get into it. We'll have a look at the shaper and then we'll come back to the special and I'll show you what I've been up to, and then that'll give you a bit of an update of what I've been doing. So this is what's kept me distracted since probably before Christmas. I didn't really show it to you because I always consider it was just a private project, and what it is what it is. So I bought this in a little town about 30 minutes away from me in December, and then I went away over Christmas to Korea of all places to visit my son, and then got stuck into this in January when I was home. It's an Albion number 1 AS shaper. I think it's post-war, but it's pretty hard to tell. Experts will know. It was painted a million colours when I got it, and I stripped all the paint off and did a bit of work to it. So it's all cast iron. It probably weighs 400 or 500 kilos maybe. It comes in 2 parts or 3 parts: the base, the tray, and then the machine itself. I can lift the tray, I can't lift the base, and I can't lift the machine part of it on its own. I used an engine hoist. For those who don't know what they are, they cut horizontally in a flat plane, and they'll also cut vertically in a flat plane. The ram up here slides this way, in and out, if you like, and this one has about a 10-inch stroke. I'm currently looking for a vise for it to get it truly functioning properly. 2 speeds that are operated off this lever and a clutch operated off the bottom. This is an automatic feed and a motor at the back. Relatively simple but relatively beautiful in my opinion. Really enjoyed pulling it apart, stripping it all down. I'll just give it a push around so you can see the other side. Sorry about the shaky video. I enjoyed stripping it down, painting it, re-lettering it, new belts, getting all the grunge off it, and just making it look a bit better. I think these old machines are well worth keeping, and funny now, I've got to cut an internal keyway for a clutch I'm trying to fit, so the shaper will be just the thing for that. Anyway, let's get on to bikes and talk more about them. This is a spare clutch centre I had, and if you look closely down the inside, you can see that it sat on 5 heavy splines, I suppose, on the Albion box. So I worked out that this inside portion, the front of it was the right diameter, and the back of it just needed let out on an angle, on a taper, to fit over the BSA shaft. So this one I hacked away at and used as my test piece, and it worked pretty well. I measured the taper with like a protractor type device, and it was 4 degrees. And this would have worked just fine, except I cut probably half a mil too much out of it because I wasn't measuring it well enough. So always nice to have a test piece. Fortunately, this still fits back on the Albion box and could be used, I suppose, but you know, probably best not to. I could have used it on the BSA, but it just wasn't quite tight enough for my liking, so I did a second one. Second one, I just machined the taper 4 degrees from the front to the back and kept measuring, and it fits really well. The rest of it here on the bench is the clutch that's been in the evaporust. Sorry, only one of those that's been in the evaporust for 5 or 6 hours, and the plates have cleaned up really well. The friction plates are pretty much shot, so I'll have to hunt down some friction plates. The rest of it is in reasonable condition. Back to the clutch centre itself, I suppose the big job for me now is to cut a keyway. I'll probably cut the keyway along the line of one of the splines, and then it will fit tight on the box. Let's go back to the bike and have a look at the clutch. Here's the clutch close up with the clutch basket on it. The clutch basket sits behind a big snap ring, which is weird and must be able to move, or the pressure plates hold it in place. Didn't notice it till I stripped it all apart. I've used the original BSA nut that lets the clutch actuation rod come through, and then down behind it fits really neatly up against the nut and the sprocket. In a bizarre world, it also, and I can't get you quite across, it also appears to line up pretty well. This front sprocket is the wrong size. That's okay for me. I'm going to buy a blank, machine the teeth off this one, and then sweat the other one onto it. I have the right pitch chain for the clutch, so I'm going to buy a sprocket and get onto that. Problems arise. So, you know, I'd fitted the foot pegs up and that was all good, and I was super proud of myself. As soon as you go to put a clutch on it, foot pegs don't fit. They need moved. So sadly in here I've got some extra holes now because I had to move the foot pegs. On this side there's plenty of room to move foot pegs, so I moved them down and forward. Both of those things will make it more comfortable for a big guy like me to ride, and that was fine. Well, it was almost fine until you go to put the clutch, the primary chain on. Oops, it's not going to cooperate now. And you find that it only just clears. Well, in this case it doesn't clear, but it won't go over the front sprocket. I think it'll clear when I put it over the front sprocket. Just about clears now. So I got the huff with it and went inside and sulked for a couple of days. Looked at chain tensioners. That's really a possibility and would be a reasonably easy fit. But I think once I've got the right front sprocket on, which will be considerably smaller than the front sprocket that's on it, I think I'll be better off. So be really close, might need a chain tensioner, can probably fit one reasonably easily. So that started to make me feel better. Come back to the back of the bike and I've respaced the rear wheel. The rear wheel is a nice fit, and currently I'm calling the spacing just about right. It seems to run down the centre of the frame. Yes, the bike's a bit tilted on the lift, so just ignore that. And then also in a bizarre world, the sprockets appear very, very close to one another. So I need to get in and measure that properly, but I'm working on the clutch and the front sprocket first, and then we will see where the rear sprocket and that goes. There is a little bit of room to space the rear sprocket outwards, and if anything, that's where I think it's got to go. It's really, really close. But other than that, the rear wheel's looking okay. Have had it confirmed that that's a Triumph rear wheel, mid-20s, and I have got a guy looking for one if anybody wants one. Down this side was where the foot peg problem really became apparent, and there's limited places that the foot peg can go because of where I put the centre stand and the brake pedal and all of that. At the end of the day, I will probably have new engine plates cut and work a fresh set together to get everything to sit right. Currently it sits about right. The gearbox needs to be mounted properly with holes, and bolt the thing into place to see exactly where it sits, and the rest of it will come into place. So I'm considering the rear engine mount plates a scrap at the moment because I don't like the extra holes, because I'm one of those weirdos, and I'll get a new set cut. So let's come back and just recap and finish up. So here's the jobs for the coming weeks, maybe longer, depending on how frustrated I get. Get a front sprocket. I think it's a 1B, and I think the chain's 8mm wide, but I'll get that sorted out. Get that sweated onto that front blank, and then see about alignment, see where it all goes, and see if that fits. Get the clutch itself back together with the existing friction plates and see if the clutch functions properly. If it doesn't function properly, I really haven't lost too much, and it can go back in the scrap drawer, because I don't want to spend an inordinate amount of money and time and it just doesn't function properly. Hopefully the chain will clear the footrest, and that'll be a happy day sort of ending. Then back to the rear wheel and try and get a chain and get it all lined up. The pitch on the sprocket at the front and the back are the same, and the rear sprocket doesn't look too bad to me. So that's really good. I've also got to find somebody to rebuild the carby and keep pushing forward. So that's where I'm at. That's what's been going on. The shaper has consumed my time. Well, that's Flat Tank Friday for another week. I am genuinely sorry that they haven't turned out into weekly videos. When I started this, I don't know, over 12 months ago, I was hoping to do weekly videos because I was retired then. And then slowly I got bored with just making videos, and I didn't think it was going anywhere fast, and I took a job with a guy and just go there every day and relax and do my bit and come home. But that's been pretty full on, and business has really grown. We make t-shirts of all things, custom ones. So I do that. So time got busy, family, all those sorts of things. Hang with me for those that are enjoying it, and if you're not enjoying it, that's cool too. Hope you have a great weekend. Cheers.